cinematics are just very gross interaction. So we just don't want to do something like that. For each of these points, we found solutions. We wanted to use the curiosity, the natural curiosity of teens. So it's okay for teens to launch the game on his own and experiment, even if he wants to see if he could have sex with the character. And it's okay for us because we will ensure that the game will keep the educational value. We choose a point-and-click design because it's really easy to play. Sorry. And you just need a mouse, not a powerful drive or configuration, and no skill required. And our game is a visual novel type game. Because once again, it doesn't need 3D assets or animation or voiceover, and it's allowing us to interact rapidly along a large variation of subjects and types. Oops. Gameplay. To solve the interactivity issue, we designed a gameplay where we could interact with different type of interaction and objects and character. Sorry.
One particular mechanics around which revolves all the game design is what we call the threads. So basically, every character you encounter in the game has a memory and likes and dislikes about stuff in life or about you or mainly about sex. So they have their opinion about you and they will express it, and of course this opinion is going to evolve based on the actions of the player. Some stuff are going to be okay for them or not okay, and so when you will try something with them or you will tell them something or try to do something with them, they will have an answer. With this, we are preventing to do something we didn't want to make in the game, which is the big warning sign, do this or not, don't do it, because as ancient teenagers ourselves, we know that this type of education doesn't work particularly well with teens usually. So in this game, you will live through the consequences of your action, and the game will answer you, provide you feedbacks, and of course links to the sex ed, etc. websites, real life stories, etc. This way, the player can pretty effectively learn about sex education, not only safe sex, but the whole spectrum. But maybe more important is that we can also learn from them, because since the game remembers everything, we can use this large amount of data to do analytics and a little bit of statistics to maybe improve the stories we are telling and make them living. We have a little prototype, if it works. So check this. And it does. Okay, so...
it's not on the screen.
Oh, okay, so it doesn't. I have it on my screen, but I don't know if it's...
Just try dragging it in.
Drag what? Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, you understand.
Yeah.
It's all good. You were looking for the movie?
No, no, it was on the browser, on the web browser.
I think you have to drag it right.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah.
Keep going, other way, other way.
Okay. I'm with you.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, now is that the only one that you're looking at?
doesn't matter. I probably can do it. So since it's a Mac, I won't be able to right-click, but everything is based on the mouse. So wherever I left-click, the player character will look. Wherever I right-click, the player character will talk about. You've seen a little bit of a dialogue GUI earlier. So if I look at something that's not interesting at all, the character is not supposed to react. I'm sorry. Okay, so the resolution is not high enough. But each time I do something, the character will react and answer to this. You cannot read it, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Wherever I scroll the mouse over it, I will interact centrally with it. Sorry, yeah.
Continue. No, go on.
Okay. So wherever I scroll the mouse, the character will act centrally with it. Maybe the NPC will be okay or not. And whenever I click with the central button, the player character will insist. It felt important to us to give the player the option to go a little bit too far, but of course the feedback would be immediate and definitive. Those kind of actions won't be tolerated in our game. So, if I can go back to the presentation. Sorry about this. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Just trying to find your button mouse. So you're trying to go back to the presentation now?
Yeah.
Great.
So, that's it, I'm sorry. Now you've seen a little bit of what the game could look like. It allows us to tell a whole lot of different stories and to experiment with different teams. And that's one of the characteristics on the project is that we can expand its scope. So make the gameplay evolve based on the feedback we will have and the analytics from the player. Explore a lot of different themes, maybe based on actuality or something like this. Releasing often different stories from different point of view in an episodic manner, think Telltale games, for example. We of course have some ideas to transfer the gameplay to the tactile mapping, so you will be able to play on your smartphone or your tablet. And of course, the scope of the game can be expanded greatly using social media, community management, and even transmedia. So with the apologies for the prototype, I thank you very much, and if you have questions.
Thank you, guys. So, just to assure you that the demo was part of the submission, so all the jury members played it and saw it, and it works fine in real life and not on the stage. So, jury, please, questions.
So I played through the demo as part of the submission, and I put it on the Mac. So do you guys have thoughts to like how you would change the game so it would work for people who don't have right click or middle click? Also seems rare, even though.
It would be probably a mix between the PC mapping and the mobile mapping. But yeah.
So I think it's interesting how the different types of interaction, talking about it as a gentle touch or sort of more violent touch, that seems to be really good for covering some subject materials, like about trust and consent, which we talked a lot about. How do you see? Do you think that type of choice between looking at touching gently, touching violently, talking about can it cover a lot of the different types of subjects and curriculum that you're interested in exploring with this engine?
Okay, so we only had 10 minutes to explain the gameplay, but there are kind of subtleties. For example, the NPC can take actions themselves, and you may want, with the mouse wheel, to accept or refuse. Maybe they may be able to force you a little bit, to be able to talk about some difficult subject about violence in this kind of relationships. So this was all covered in the design document. We didn't went into the details for the presentation, but yes.
How do you win the game? Like,
if they're
Okay.
looking?
So it depends on the scenario, obviously, and what's, in our opinion, really interesting in this is that having sex is not the goal. You don't have one great action to do, you know, no winning action, but a lot of losing ones. So actually you will have to, sorry, did I say something? Maybe I don't have a few of the subtleties of the things I say. Yes, so the objective is yours to choose. But for each type of scenario, you can have multiple endings, multiple conclusions, and the real objective is to talk about it after the game and see if you can do better. But as Julie say, for us it's okay if one team just want to launch the game, you know, just to have sex with the character. It's maybe a very basic choice for him to make, but for us the important stuff is that he launches the game, and afterwards we take care of this, of the educational part. So the basic idea was to remember that, well, sex is a fun thing to do, so it should say so in the game.
Do you think that fun that I'm assuming would be the kind of through line, the thing that has you want to keep playing, is that the thing that has you want to keep playing? As I was doing this, I was like, well, what would have someone keep engaging with the game?
Sorry, can you repeat?
What is it that would have someone continue to play the game? You know, for some games it's, oh, I want a high score. Oh,
Yeah.
there are different things that motivate players.
Yeah.
What is the thing that's going to motivate players?
You can, of course, you may have a different scenario to play. On everyone, you can have a lot of different NPC to interact with, and so you may want to check all the conclusion and experiment stuff. Okay, what if on this playthrough I'm playing homosexual, or, you know, so the main thing is experiment, and that's why we had this kind of a procedural way to handle social interaction, is to allow the player to really experiment and see the conclusion of his or her actions.
So do you think that what will keep them is to do with the narrative?
It has to do, well, the narrative they make, so it has to do with, oh, this time I'm going to try this. And what if I do that? What if I react differently? So we didn't go into specifics again, but in order to make the player really live through their conclusions, you cannot save or load in the game. It's very short games, like maybe 5-10 minutes, maybe more if you want to experiment, but the conclusion has to be able to come very early, so the player is not bored before finishing the game.
So my sense from reading the document, and I guess I'm not sure it came through as clearly through the presentation, but the game's more about exploration than it is like
Exactly.
achieving a certain goal.
Exactly, exploration and learning from its own mistakes.
Any last question?
It seems like you can continue to add on characters, add on scenarios, and do you envision working with Answer to develop the characters and the stories and the various options for the exploration? Was one question. The second question is, not that I'm uptight or anything, but just like how graphic, are the final sex scene, or because you talked about using the mouse and gentle touch, so I just couldn't get that from the prototype.
So for the first question, yes, of course we would envision to work with Answer, maybe doing our own playtest, but of course the themes and the story we would like to tell is entirely up to you. And for the graphics part, in our opinion, what's interesting with the tactile gameplay we presented is that we put the sensual part of it in the gameplay. So we don't have to be graphical. Because only moving your mouse through the screen or through over a character, and just wondering what could I do, what should I do, what would he or she let me do. That's you have erotism here, and you don't need to be graphic with that. So we are not entirely up to legislation or stuff like this in the US about sex education, but where we want to go in graphically is can be up to you because we don't need to go very far because of this gameplay.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry for the English, but
Okay, so this is the cliffhanger because we're not going to announce the winner yet, and we're going to have a deliberation through lunch. I hope you enjoyed our afternoon sex education, and please come back at 2:15 to give the prize to the winner with us. Thank you.